And welcome back to KTN News Desk. I'm Michael Karanja. 3 pillars to housing when you want to own a home: land, methodology of actually making that house, and the finances. And just to help us discuss what alternatives are there to help you get affordable housing in Kenya, I'm now joined by George Wachiuri, CEO of Optiven Kenya Limited. George, karibu sana.
Asante sana, thank you.
Last time we were chatting, we were talking about how difficult it has been for most Kenyans to own homes. Is that still the situation as it is right now?
Yes, I would say that it's very, very challenging for the normal Kenyan, especially the young people, to own their own homes, because the houses in Kenya is quite expensive. Bearing in mind that our cost of land is very high, and also the process of getting this land and also building the house is quite expensive for our Kenyan people.
Just looking at the rental market, we saw a survey by the National Housing, and they were saying almost 40% of people's income is actually going to rents. When you look at that situation and changing the mindset where people can now actually own something they can call their own, when you look at that vis-a-vis that strong desire to own a home, how then does that make you feel as someone in the real estate industry?
One of the things that we must realize as Kenyans is that our people, they say 75% of our people in urban areas are renting. While other countries like Singapore, 90% they own homes. And for us as developers, we have a big job to do to ensure that our people get houses. However, for some of us like Optiven Limited, we have a job to do because we have to educate our Kenyan people to accept the new technologies of building. You realize that in other countries, they don't use the real stone and mortar. They use other technologies. And for us developers, we have to educate our population so that we are able to house these people, because if we don't do that, it means that for the years to come, we're going to have these challenges. I'm sure you're aware that by the year 2030, we require about 15 million houses because the population is increasing. So we must have other technologies to ensure that our Kenyan people get homes. Talking
of technology, about 3 weeks ago you signed a partnership with Koto Housing, bringing up on board something that's quite different to the way what people are used to in the market. So leave the brick and mortar, now you go into slabs and prefabricated homes. Is that kind of methodology catching on in the Kenyan market?
That is the new methodology, because we don't do it, we're going to have a lot of issues. And the reason why as Optiven we went for these affordable technologies is because we have been dealing with land. We have been selling value-added plots, and over the years, over 8 years, we have a lot of our customers with already value-added land. They have water, they have power, they have what it takes. But when it comes to construction, it's a real challenge because they require a lot of money, and also it takes time to finish a house. For example, we are doing some houses for customers. It takes about 7 to 8 months to finish one house. But the new technology that we signed with Koto Housing is going to take 30 to 45 days. You have your house ready to occupy. And we are very excited about it, and what we discuss is to have a sample house, because our Kenyan people need to touch, they need to see, they need to feel it. So we are going to do a show house in all our projects called the Victory Gardens in Kitengela, and once our Kenyan people see it, we are able to advocate for the new technologies, and we are very excited about it.
Just when you look at it vis-a-vis what people are used to, is it a cheaper way of going about it? Because you know, land prices is not the cheapest thing in Kenya. When it comes to construction, it's also not cheap. So and then when you look at the financial, but when you look at the way now that is primed, and the little less time that is required to put up a home, is it something that is going to be bought into the Kenyan psyche when it comes to home ownership?
Since the time we launched the campaign, we are calling it "You Like It, We Replicate," because you have to see it, then you like it, we do the house for you. And we have seen a lot of excitement across social media, and it's the way to go, because to do this house, it will take a shorter period. It's also slightly lower than the brick and mortar technology, and of course I have seen Kenyans accepting the technology, and we are waiting to see, once we finish the show house, to see the response from the public. But so far so good.
Construction costs key to this challenge, but when you look at it, what kind of a reduction are we looking at?
We are looking at 20% reduction. Yes.
And look, when it comes to the financing aspect of it, have you also been able to bring on board people in the financial services industry just to look at what is happening, the new way of doing real estate in this market, and whether that is acceptable and something that they want to partner with?
Right now, between Optiven Limited and the Koto Housing, we are doing a lot of meetings. We had a meeting with the financial institutions, and they're also excited about it because they know that the challenge of housing in Kenya is not only one person problem, it's a countrywide problem. And we are getting a lot of support from financiers, and right now we are training the valuers so that when they come to value these house, they are able to see, can it last 100 years, 90 years? And the response has been very, very good. And we are happy that our customers who are going to come in, they are going to be financed by these financial institutions.
Is there a limitation when using this new modern technology? Is there a limitation in what people can have? Because with stones, you can make an expansive building that you might want to call home. But are you limited when using modern technology in what you can have?
This modern technology is very interesting because, especially for the target market we are targeting, these are people who don't have a lot of money. They can actually do a growing house. You can do one room, we do the foundation. The time you get the money, you do the second room, the third room, and you keep expanding. And it's a technology that even if you go 3, 4 floors, you can. Right now we are doing a show house for a maisonette that goes up to level 1, which is going to be very exciting. I'm sure that I will invite the media people to see it when they are opening on 1st of August, because that's the time we are opening the new house.
Obviously, there's a lot of focus, renewed focus on entry-level market. I've been talking to some people and they were actually saying you should start hitting especially people as soon as they're getting out of college to actually start thinking about some of these investments when it comes to whether it's at the NSE or even when it comes to land and home ownership. When you look at that, is that the target market that you're looking for?
For us, between Optiven and Koto Housing, we are looking at that target market, young people. Because 50% of our population are young people. And we do a lot of education. For us at Optiven, we have forums called Personal Transformation Talks. And we encourage these people to start investment as soon as they clear school. We even go to universities to talk about investments because our people don't have the saving culture. You know, once they get a job, they want to spend. But we are talking to them to ensure that they start saving for the house. We're also encouraging financial institutions to come up with packages whereby young people can save for a mortgage. Because there's that perception that people fear mortgages. Yet, people like us, when we are clearing school, we got our first mortgage immediately that month after I finished school. So we are encouraging these people who are clearing universities and getting new jobs to start saving for that mortgage. Because if we don't do that, it means the charges are going to be higher and more and more.
15 million houses by 2030, obviously the demand is there. So when there's that cycle where mortgage uptake can also be increased in this market, what will that do to ease the pressure that is already existing on the current infrastructure for housing?
Right now, because of course, there's a lot of government goodwill and the coming of the county governments. Because I tell people that the demand for houses now is even more in the counties because they need to house the government or employees and people who are working in the counties. And for us, we see the current supply for houses is very limited. Forget about the high-end houses. I'm talking about houses below 10 million. We don't have those houses. There are not many. And going forward, given that our population is young, and these are people who are going to get married and get jobs, and after getting married and getting a job, what do you want? You need a house. So the demand is going to increase. Look at the middle class. It's also increasing. It's going up every other day. And the demand for houses, if we don't, as developers, we don't do something now, we're going to have a lot of challenges when it comes to the year 2030. And what is happening in Kenya today is that there are a lot of people who are willing to come to development, but we need government support. Look at the planning of the counties. We are telling the governors that right now they are in charge of their counties. Can they segregate or plan for their counties whereby if Optiven goes today to say we want to do 1,000 residential houses, is there a space separated for that purpose? Are there facilities? How is the sewer system? How is the water? Look at what Optiven we are doing. We are doing the water, we are doing the infrastructure. Why? Because the counties are not well organized. And we are challenging them through the Kenya Private Developers Association that the area we plan for our counties, the better for this nation. If we don't, we are going to develop slums in all the counties. Look at Nairobi. Nairobi is a big slum. If we don't plan for these 47 counties, we are going to be in a big mess. And that's the challenge. That's the message we are giving the governors. Let us plan now so that when the developers like Optiven comes to your county, if you want to do commercial properties, there's a space for that. If you want to do residential properties, there's space for that.
It's not where the ones that were commercial, now people are doing residential.
Exactly.
And what were once
look at the confusion in Maradaima. There are industries there. The other day they had a big issue, you know, pollution. There are residentials there. There are commercial buildings there. It is total confusion. But it is never too late. We can be able to sort out this thing right now, going forward.
When you look at land, obviously a company like yours gets an edge because you're able to give service plots where someone who doesn't have to think about looking for the water, the sewage, or the electricity. When you look at that whole land equation, is it something perhaps that should be taken through the government, through the institutions such as the National Housing Authority, where perhaps they can actually take up and actually service these parcels of land, making it even attractive for developers who come on board later on to put up projects?
I think that would be exciting, and that is the message people like Optiven and other developers, that's the message we are giving the government, both the national government and the county government, because if you can do this servicing, let me tell you, even the cost of housing is going to be cheaper. Look at what we are doing at Optiven. We are doing the boreholes, we are doing the water piping, we are doing the greening, planting trees within the project. We are fencing that project. All that cost goes to the customers. But you can imagine if the government can do that for us as developers. We can even do more houses for our Kenyan people. But right now, chunk of the money goes to the value addition. And we have a job to do. But I'm happy that for us at Optiven, we are members of Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and we are also members of Kenya Private Developers Association. And we have been engaging National Arts Commission, we have been engaging the ministry, and we want to push this order for us to be able to develop houses for our people.
If everything remains constant and things go the way you want, what do you see in future perhaps being the entry-level prices for houses in this market?
It depends on, you know, Kenyans are very interesting. The cost of a house depends on finishing. Look at what we are doing between Optiven and Koto Housing. We have a standard design, whereby we can come and do a design, and then you select your kind of finishing. If you just do a standard design, you can be able to do that house using very limited resources. You can do a one-bedroom with about $500,000, two-bedroom with about 1.2 million, a maisonette with about 4.5 million. But it all depends on the finishing. And that's the language we are telling the young people, that don't go for very high-end finishing. What you require is an accommodation.
Straight out of university.
Exactly. It's a house to stay, and also save that 50% of your gross income.
All right. Thank you very much. That's been George Wachiuri, CEO, Optiven Kenya Limited, just telling us about the changing trends, what that is happening in the real estate sector, and what can be done to make it much more affordable for consumers coming to the housing market. Ian Wafula, what happened on the sporting front?